Hold on, I'm waiting for the live stream to start up so that people can see it. There we go.
Yeah, we're seeing nothing right now.
Okay. Okay. That's separate, but also important. Okay. Are we not seeing? Are you not seeing my screen? I am sharing the screen.
There it is. Yeah.
Okay.
I see the screen, Michael. Yeah, it's been there for a second.
All right, cool. I had to restart it for some reason. Okay. Great. Let's get going. Welcome everybody to the June meeting of the Board of Directors for the Node.js Foundation. Quick reminder of the Antitrust compliance notice. Seen this many times before, but if you have any questions about it, feel free to ask Andy Epdegrove. All right, looking at the member directory, our regular member directory. We'll have a bit more talking about this later, but standard member directory that we're all used to. First resolution, resolved that the minutes of the public session from May 2016 meeting of the Board of Directors in the form attached here to as Exhibit A are hereby confirmed, approved, and adopted. Can I get a first and a second?
Yeah, I move to adopt the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion passes unanimously. All right. Moving on, Node.js in the media. So we had another pretty average month, a little bit down from April. Java had a huge spike. They've about doubled their coverage. This is, I don't think necessarily positive coverage though. We don't have a negative or positive here, but the Oracle lawsuit around Java definitely caused a very large spike in the articles written about them. So that's that there. Just a few highlights. Recently, we've done a lot of analyst briefings. So we did a one-to-many with 8 different analyst firms, as well as several individual briefings with Gartner, Forrester, and IDC. And we're continuing to do those over the next week or so. Basically, we've just been talking about, what the foundation is doing since we formed, the LTS stuff, what we know is important to enterprise, how the project is going, and generally just talking about the kind of the Node Everywhere strategy and some of the really positive stories that we have out of enterprise from places like Capital One. Also, we did a bunch of podcasts recently, I think 3 of them in a month, just talking about the foundation, getting our name out there and whatnot, pushing into this membership drive that we're going to do. We've put out media posts from Capital One, Sphinx, and GoDaddy. The Capital One and GoDaddy posts are transcripts of the enterprise conversation that we did recently. We also just recorded a new enterprise conversation with Skycatch, which was really great. It's actually the first company that we've talked to that's using Node in a device, in the cloud, and in the client. So really, literally, Node.js everywhere. So that was a really interesting call, and a nice enterprise kind of IoT hardware story. And we had good social growth. We grew another 17,000 followers just in May alone. So, any questions about communication and media for the month of May? Cool. Okay, moving along. TSC update. I want to hand it over to Rod. Rod, yep.
Hello. Right, that's right. So standard I/O problems. We've had some dramas around standard I/O. I think I included this in the last meeting update. But just some problems that we've had with Node version 6 that we've been trying to resolve. Still getting towards resolution on those. The main problem has been addressed, which was for OS X. When we've seen a lot of the consternation die down a bit from that. ES modules, we're still working towards resolution on how we would handle ES modules, working a bit with TC39. We've got a new proposal from some individuals on how to move forward with that.
Rod, could you speak up a little bit or get your mic a little bit closer? We've had a few people say that it's a little soft.
We've also got Bradley Meck, who's been working on the ES modules spec discussion. Joining TC39 thanks to GoDaddy having a seat there. So Bradley's joining our CTC meetings as an observer regularly. So that's a positive move there as well. I've been talking a bit with the Electron team, trying to move Node and Electron a bit closer together in terms of the way we support each other. That's been fairly positive, and we're finding ways to better address their issues so that they have fewer problems with Node and they can support their users better. It's interesting for us on the board level to consider the overlap that we have with them and how their community is also part of the Node community. So it's probably something at least to start considering how this separate user community is actually part of our concern in terms of Node growth. So just something to be aware of there with Electron. You might want to do some research about what that's all about. And we're going to start doing some TSC roundups as well. Some roundups of all the working group activities that are happening around the technical side of Node. So getting the groups that are working on the various things that we're doing to start reporting up to the TSC, and then the TSC being able to publish a roundup for the public to consume to understand what's going on. We're also Jeremiah St. Peel from the TSC is doing weekly roundups. At the moment, he's going across all the activity of the GitHub organization and reporting on activity that's going on. Node source blog for that. They're quite interesting to see some of the things that are going on if you want to stay up to date with weekly activity. Is that my update, Michael? Or do we have another slide?
That's everything for the public one here. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Any questions? Okay, that's me.
Okay, great. Quick update on some of the Node events. So we recently did Node.js Live in Chicago. We actually had a pretty good number of signups and a great venue and really good talks. And then a freak thunderstorm kind of rained us out a little bit. And so the actual attendance versus the people signed up was pretty low. So that was unfortunate, but chalk that up in the act of God territory. Okay. For Node Interactive, we've selected about 95% of the talks. There's a couple kind of panels that we're waiting to put into place, but everything else is selected. This week the schedule will go out as well as some press. We're targeting Wednesday for that, so it's exciting. We've also gotten a lot of enthusiasm about the Collaborator Summit coming up after EU, and so we have a thread going right now about this kind of stuff that people want to see and how to get signed up for that. We've also had an increase in sponsors, so we have 3 for Europe and 5 for North America. There's another one that we just signed that I can't quite announce yet publicly, but it's exciting. And that's about it for the quick event update. Any questions? Okay, moving along. And that is the end of, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just one quick question. So obviously we're headed to sponsored events and do that. Any surprises in terms of costs or anything along those lines that we should be aware of, or is it all track into what we budgeted?
Nothing yet. The only thing was that the venue cost for the collaboration summit was a bit higher than we had anticipated. But because we have the money set aside for Code and Learn as well, and they're sharing the space, we should have enough for the venues as well as sending people there and paying for that. So that was the only thing that actually jumped out to me.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Cool, and that's the end of these slides this time. I know that we didn't have the commit graph this month, but there's actually a problem with the GitHub archive data, so we actually can't get that data right now. I'm working with them to try and resolve it, so that's unfortunate. But now we can turn it over to general questions and any questions from the live stream. Ashley, do you want to iterate any questions from the live stream to us?
I'm happy to. It does not look like there are any yet.
Yeah.
Besides, someone says Purple Heart Node.js. So yay.
So there is a bit of a delay. So yeah, I would just wait a little bit on that.
Yeah, definitely. I'll also post in there right now.
I had a question for Rod, actually, if we could pop back one.
Okay.
Having talked a little bit with Brad about TC39 and where those decisions get distilled, there are many folks that sit on this board that also have members on TC39, and that might be some place where, Rod, you could take advantage of that. I don't know if there's any usefulness there, but I know that Brad expressed having some challenges in terms of getting legitimacy for the use cases that Node has among the members of TC39. I was wondering if you had any comments on that, or maybe strategies where we could potentially improve that communication between the two groups.
Yeah, that's a great question, Charlie. We've been trying to tackle this in multiple ways. The challenge has been that TC39 has always been very browser focused. And particularly it's actually been heavy on the VM implementers side. So the concerns are about pretty much purely about browsers, because the VMs are used in browsers. Node doesn't have a VM, so its interests are not represented. And the representatives there come from browser backgrounds. So Bradley's really the first individual on there that has a very strong Node foundation there. Like he's a Node guy, and he's not really a browser guy. So it's a big step, and it would be great to have Node Foundation member companies that have TC39 seats to start coordinating or shifting the way that they use their seat to start taking into account Node concerns, because we really struggle with this. We have a lot of things going on at TC39 that don't really represent our interests and sometimes conflict. We're starting to see a little bit of a change, but it's mainly sort of throwing a bone to Node rather than actually deeply considering Node as part of the process. We have discussed at multiple points with TC39 getting Node Foundation representation on there, official Node Foundation representation, but they've repeatedly said that they're not interested because the Node Foundation is we have companies that could be ECMA representatives themselves, so they're not willing to accept a seat from the Node Foundation because of that. They'd rather have Node Foundation member companies sign up to ECMA and get their own seats. So for the companies,
if you're not speaking, could you mute yourself? There's a lot of background noise, and it makes it hard to hear. Sorry about that, but thanks. I appreciate it.
So for companies, for members here particularly on the board who have TC39 seats, it'd probably be worth us getting together and talking more about how we might be able to use those seats for to pursue Node's interests a bit more. At least to make sure that Node is a first-class citizen during these discussions that they have at TC39. That's really what we want. That when they make decisions, that Node is considered rather than just simply the browser case with Node as a secondary concern. So probably for now, I think maybe just get in touch with me if you've got a TC39 seat and you're interested in figuring out how to use it for Node interests, and we might start a discussion, an offline discussion about how we might coordinate that activity, particularly with Bradley. I mean, Bradley's really our representative there, so for now. So there's that. We have had some overtures from TC39 to the CTC to talk about this stuff. So we do have existing discussions going on. So happy to continue that with anyone else on this meeting who might be able to have a seat they can use.
Just for the clarity there, that would be probably Denise. PayPal is an ordinary member of ECMA. Colleen, I believe Microsoft is an ordinary member of ECMA. Todd, IBM, is an ordinary member of ECMA. Google is, but obviously they're a silver member. The associate members that do, besides us, that are also Node Foundation members, I'm not seeing anyone. So just to tie it off to a real point.
Also, I know that Airbnb, their rep has expressed an interest in working with us and trying to help us through. So I would just include him in that. Even though they aren't a member, I would include them in that coalition because they've been very helpful.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. They were also very helpful in getting us through the process for membership.
Okay. Moving on. Any other questions from the live stream?
It does not look like it right now, but we might as well give it a little pause, just in case.
Okay.
Probably safe to say there are no questions.
Okay.
I think.
All right. Well, let's move into the executive session right away, so that we can grab these extra few minutes. We have quite a few things this time to go over, and thank everybody for tuning in.
All right. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Should we close the session?
Oh,
We have
yes,
to
yes.
make a motion.
Yes. Sorry, Scott. Would you motion to end the session?
Yep, I move to adjourn the public session.
Great.
Second.
All right.
Second.
Adjourned.